Hello everyone, welcome everyone. Today we are going to impart our lecture on psychological perspective of education. In unit first, we will study about educational psychology, meaning definition, scope and the uses of educational psychology. This will be our first lecture in English medium, and to continuation of this series will be depending on the performance. So I hope you will enjoy it. If it is useful, kindly do subscribe the channel, like, share, comment, and do mention your suggestion in the comment box. So without wasting the time, we are just going to start our video. Psychology of learning, इंट्रोडक्शन. साइकोलॉजी ऑफ लर्निंग के थ्रू हम एजुकेशनल साइकोलॉजी की स्टडी करेंगे. सो इन इंट्रोडक्शन, दिस इज द फर्स्ट यूनिट ऑफ द सेकेंड पेपर of psychology of learning. This course deals with the importance and the contribution of educational psychology on the theory and the practice of education. Every teacher is confronted with the problem of individual differences in the classroom. Here, it is very essential to explain that every teacher must have the thorough knowledge about the difference of the personality and the different ability of the student, so that he may do his best for the upliftment of the knowledge level of his pupil. The purpose of this unit is to define the concept of educational psychology. It describes meaning, nature of educational psychology. An attempt also been made to describe the characteristics and meaning of the learning. So, meaning and definition of educational psychology. Let's start. Educational psychology and consists of two words, psychology and education, while general psychology is a pure science. If हम कॉमन साइकोलॉजी की बात करें, इफ वी डिस्कस अबाउट द कॉमन साइकोलॉजी, तो साइकोलॉजी इज अ स्टडी ऑफ माइंड ओनली, बट एजुकेशनल साइकोलॉजी इज अ स्टडी ऑफ education as well as relation with the mind. How mind accept the education is the pure subject of the educational psychology. So educational psychology is its application in the field of education with the aim of socializing man and modifying his behavior. Means when a student come to the school, how we are going to train them in the socialization process, how we are going to teach them, and what differences should be in the focus and in emphasization, so that person should be able to learn. According to Crow and Crow, the great educationist, Crow and Crow has defined educational psychology in the following way. Educational psychology describes and explains the learning experience of an individual from birth through the old age. It means the whole life education is continued, and educational process, how it is going on and how we do learn, this is studied in educational psychology. Great educationist Skinner defined educational psychology just like that. That branch of the psychology which deals with the teaching and the learning is known as educational psychology. According to Stephen, educational psychology is systematic study of educational growth and development of the child. You must have pointed out which scholar has defined on the basis of what. Here, Stephen, educational growth and development of child is the main content. Skinner, child behavior and learning is main content. And Crow has emphasized on experience of a child while learning education throughout the life. According to Judge, educational psychology is the science which explains the changes that take place in individual as they pass through the various stages of development. Means just like a process when education is started, in how the person is going to understand and accept the development of a person. According to Peel, educational psychology is a science of education. Means when we study the education in a scientific way, it became educational psychology. So, educational psychology is one of the branches that applies psychology concerned with the application of the principles, techniques, and other resources of psychology to the solution and problems confronting the teacher, attempting to direct the growth of children towards the defined way. So, defined objectives. it is very clear that knowledge of psychology is applicable in the field of education while teacher is trying to learn and guide their children. When teacher is dealing with the children of the different capacity, different attitude and different IQ, children must react according to that, and teachers should understand the difference among the children so that he might deal every children with a specific knowledge. More especially, we can say educational psychology is a concern with an understanding of the child, his development, his need and his potentialities. The learning situation including group dynamics as affect learning, means we have to study those areas where the person is affecting the learning process, its nature and the way to make it effective. What is learning process and what are the way by which it goes on and how we can effect it? Stated differently, the central theme of the educational psychology is a psychology of learning. Psychology of learning से पहले, when we are going to study the psychology of learning, सीखने के सिद्धांतों को और मनोविज्ञानों को स्टडी करते समय, we must concentrate on the following points. But before we go to the course, we want to ask some questions. Just like this area is concerned with such a problem, how do children acquire skills? How do they learn? When is learning more effective? Means under what condition your learning process will be easier and effective? What are the factors that help the learning processes? What are the helping hands? And how do we measure the treatment of the learning? Means the amount of learning, how we can understand and evaluate how much had been understood by the student and what are the problems they are facing. Are there any economic method of the memorizing? Why do we forget? What are the factors that affect our memory? Can memory be improved? This is a general question. This is a general question by which we think that memory can be improved or not. Does the study of the Sanskrit help the study of Hindi? Means transfer knowledge, how it is helpful. In this way, psychology helps the teacher to get answer of these questions. It tells us the learning became more effective if the factors like motivation and interest are taken into consideration by every teacher. Means if a teacher just try to create the interest of a student in the content and just he avoid the student who are doing better and he just motivating his student to do better, definitely his education process will be more effective than others. So the knowledge of educational psychology helped the teacher while modifying her approach, his or her approach to teaching learning process. A study of educational psychology has brought about the change in the approach, and therefore we have the child-centered education. Present time we have a child-centered education. We have to educate the child according to their capability and their interest. Psychology principles are used in the formulation of curriculum in the different stages, how we are going to study, what we are going to study and what should be our factors. So attempts are made to provide subjective activities in the curriculum which are the uniformity with the needs of the student. Means students should get the maximum opportunity for their development and their heuristic development so that all-round development can be possible. Which are the conformity, the needs of a student, their developmental characteristics and the learning pattern, and also the needs of the society. Means we must understand why we are educating our children, what is our motto, what we are going to make them. Means aims, objective, curriculum and each and everything, just like even the teaching learning process, that must be decided according to the plan, according to the objective, and educational psychology helps us in that. Nature of educational psychology, first we have understood very well that the nature of educational psychology is purely scientific, but as we are dealing with the human behavior, it becomes an art, how we are going to implement it. The principles are very related with the scientific approach, but when the application is there, application will be always dealt with the art section. So following are important characteristics of the nature of educational psychology. It is an applied branch of the fundamental psychology. ये fundamental psychology की एक branch है. It combines two fields, education as well as psychology. It is the scientific study of human behavior in educational situation. We have already discussed it, that scientific situation has been implemented in the area of education. It concerned with those factors, principles, techniques which relate to the various aspects of the child and growth and development. It is concerned with the learning situation, process by which the learning can be more effective and more efficient. Effective, prabhavi, and efficient, that is minus, that is related with the economical method. In management, effectiveness is the completion of the task without consideration of the cost. But when we are going to efficient, it means we are cost saving as well as time saving. We are doing the task in the given time by a reasonable cost. So efficient and effective points must be clear inside everyone minds. Educational psychology draws heavily from the various branches of the psychology: biology, sociology, and anthropology. Psychology, मनोविज्ञान; biology, जीव विज्ञान; sociology, समाजशास्त्र; and anthropology, मानवशास्त्र. Means in which every aspect of the life, when we are going to study the human, we are studying educational psychology. Educational psychology is not an extract of natural science. It is not a natural science in which we just make the law and we do not care about the result. Here we have to take the consideration of the result. We can't apply the scientific laws as it is, because it is dealing with the human behavior. Human behavior cannot be predicted exactly. So, because it is dynamic, that's why art will be the benefited, and the application is depending on the nature and the capability of the teacher. Educational psychology is a science of education dealing with the primarily how, when, and what of education. Why education should be given, what is to be given, how is to be given are the answered by the scientific branch of the educational psychology. It is not the normative science. It is concerned with the value of the education and does not concern with itself what ought to be. Means education, what ought to be. Idealism must be there. It only describe what it is. It is an applied positive science. While psychology deals with the behavior of all individual of all walks of life in every aspect of life, educational psychology limits the dealing and behavior of the people in relation with the educational development. It does not concern with the what and why. Education gives the necessary knowledge and skill. Education का necessary knowledge and skill देना इसका काम नहीं है. Technical guidance for giving the education and people in a satisfactory way is the main prime aim of the educational psychology. Educational psychology हमें बताता है कि how we are going to impart our knowledge to our student, and what should be the techniques, what should be the atmosphere, and what should be the prime curriculum content. Six major areas are covered by the educational psychology are the learner, सीखने वाला, learning process, सीखने की प्रक्रिया, learning situation का atmosphere, the teaching situation means ability and capability of the teacher, evaluation of learning teaching performance means the process how much is beneficial and useful, and at last the teacher. So the first learner. Educational psychology acquaints us with the needs of the knowing the leaps and the deals of the techniques of knowing him well. Following are the topic studied included it the innate ability and capabilities of the individual differences. Innate means by birth. By birth, what capabilities are inherited by the students and what are the chances of the capability among them is the main prime aim. We must understand that before imparting the education. So overt, covert, and consciousness as well as the unconscious behavior of the learner means we have to understand the behavior of learner also and characteristics of his growth, how he is going to be developed, and development are going to in what process and stages is must be decided and must be studied by educational psychology from childhood to the adulthood. Learning teacher process. The after knowing the learner, describing the learning experiences are to be provided. An emerging problem is to be the help the learner in acquiring these learning experiences and the case of confidence. Crow and Crow has rightly decided that educational psychology differently deals with the process, experience, and achievement of the person from childhood to adulthood. Hence, it deals with the nature of learning and how it takes place, the contents, the topics such as laws, principles, theories of learning, remembering and forgetting, perceiving, concept formation, thinking, reasoning process, problem solving, transferring the training, ways and means of effective learning. मैं एक बार इनको हिंदी में एक्सप्लेन करना चाहूँगा. टॉपिक ऑफ लॉज जस्ट कानून, प्रिंसिपल्स सिद्धांत, थ्योरीज ऑफ लर्निंग सीखने के सिद्धांत, रिमेंबरिंग याद करना, मेमोरी जिसे कहते हैं, फॉरगेटिंग भूल जाना, परसीविंग कल्पना करना, कॉन्सेप्ट फॉर्मेशन किसी चीज़ के बारे में सोचना, थिंकिंग उस पर लॉजिकली विचार करना, रीजनिंग प्रोसेस, वाई इट शुड बी एंड वाई इट शुड नॉट बी, क्यों हो और क्यों ना हो, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग समस्या समाधान करने की तकनीक, ट्रांसफर ऑफ लर्निंग एक जगह सीखा हुआ ज्ञान दूसरी जगह एप्लीकेबल करना, एंड डिफरेंट इफेक्टिव लर्निंग के प्रोसेस लर्निंग प्रोसेस में सीखे जाएंगे. लर्निंग सिचुएशन, इट ऑल्सो डील्स विद द एनवायरमेंट फैक्टर्स. लर्निंग सिचुएशन, व्हाट कम मिडवे बिटवीन द लर्नर एंड द टीचर. टीचर और लर्नर के बीच में कैसे चीज़ें आती हैं. टॉपिक्स इन द क्लासरूम स्टडीज एंड द ग्रुप्स डायनेमिक्स. सिचुएशन, aids of the facilities learning, evaluate the techniques and the practices, guidance and counseling which help the smooth functioning of teacher learning process. Means atmosphere of the class must be regulated in a very friendly way so that student must not be scared, must not be afraid of the teacher, must not hesitate in asking the question. Student must get the free atmosphere to learn and to create himself a good person. Teaching situation, it suggests the techniques of the teaching. It tells us how teaching method should be accepted. It also helps the deciding the learning situation, what should be provided by teacher to the learning according to his mental and physical ease. His previous knowledge, interest level must be considered by describing the learner characteristics, what teaching aids are appropriate in a particular subject. Means हम पीछे की चीज़ों को स्टडी करके आगे की चीज़ों को फोकास्ट कर सकते हैं. We can add a new branches by the knowledge. Evaluation of the learning process. Main objective of education is all-round development of a learner. शिक्षा व्यक्ति की का चतुर्मुखी विकास है. It includes cognitive, affective and psychomotor aspect of personality. Educational psychology suggests various tools and techniques for the assessment and evaluation of the performance test. Just like oral test, written test, it gives us different knowledgeable values. It gives us very important methods by which we can evaluate how much our children has learned. Written test, it does not help stop in the measurement only. After testing, the result is the test are analyzed the causes of the poor performance, backwardness of a children, and the remedial teaching can be done according to that. In the aspect of the development is corrected by the maladjustment, helped by guidance and the counseling. Study habit, examining techniques and learning styles are analyzed and help the learner so that he can overcome the difficulties. Means after taking the exam, if we are going to analyze the performance of our students, we must find that some students are getting behind, they are lagging in the understanding the concept. So we have to find out the reason and we have to give them suggestion, helping hand, and you can say more friendly behavior and teaching so that they may also come to the advance and join the mainstream of the education. Educational psychology, at last teacher, educational psychology emphasize the need of the knowledge of self teacher to play his role properly in the process of education. It throws light in the essential personality traits and the interest, aptitude and the characteristics of effective teaching, as to inspire, help teacher handle to stress, conflict, anxiety of giving inside their own personality. Means teacher must think about the student without thinking his own attitude and own personality and behavior. Teacher is a person who must understand the difference in the level of knowledge among the student, so that he might behave and react with each and every student differently, so that Samaveshi education, inclusive education, uniform education can be imparted. Thus we can conclude that educational psychology is a very important and for the learning, and the process of education is very important in its essential elements. Thank you friend, thank you for watching the video. This is my first attempt to provide you the English lecture. If it is good, if it is helpful, kindly thumbs up and subscribe the channel, and do mention your suggestion in comment box. Thank you.